Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Roy Evans of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, and I am here with Mr. Darren Reed, who is the Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development. Darren, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Roy. Glad to be here.
All right, well, thanks. So let's start off by telling the folks a little bit about what Stride Professional Development is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stride is the nation's leading provider of online education in the K through 12 space. We were formerly known as K-12 Inc. and are over 2 decades in the space of providing free virtual online education across the nation to students, no matter where they are. We've since changed our name to Stride because we've done expanded beyond the K-12 space, though that's still very much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals, and we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators, and that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique and innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So there, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on, and then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help, them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So.
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher.
Absolutely.
So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years. So I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see 2 links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage, that'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher, and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need, and of course with the diversity that's needed in our teaching corps across the country, I know our HBCU teacher graduates are just exactly what we need in our community. So I really encourage them, and just glad to be doing this partnership with you all.
All right. Well, folks, there you go again. Mr. Darren Reed, Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development Learning. We will be seeing you guys, and trust me, you'll be seeing more from their partnership with us as we move forward, always trying to do our best to make sure that we move forward with the community. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon'.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on business or assignment, or he said he might be able to join. I don't know, things going on. In all seriousness, Mike is trying to get in the traffic, having a little problem with the car, so we're going to make sure that all is well. With that being said, welcome to episode 415 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast that is covered in sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, from our home studios, and sending a signal live to our KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, I guess we can call this PM, post-media, HBCU media, post-SWAC media day, first one back, post Alpha Alpha National Convention. With that being said, before I get y'all in there, I hope y'all allow me to take a little liberty. I wanted to give a shout out to, these are actually pictures of fans that I was in Dallas for Alpha Alpha National Convention. And a gentleman on the first day, as I walked through the corridors with my stuff on to get registered or get my I had registered already, but to get my credentials, if you want to call them that, or identification badges, right? And so those are all pictures of folks that watched the show, that happen to be men of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And so the first one came up there and said, hey, Good to say I watched the show. I was like, hey, great. You know what I'm saying? And he knew you, Charles. He wanted to make sure. So I seen you that over there. He said, what's Charles? I said, Charles is taking care of some business, went out, family, anniversary type celebration in California, Napa. He said he would make sure they get plenty of wine and drink it for us. So I'm sure he's doing well, because at that time I had not had a chance to partake yet. I figured that you had already had some of the sundries, so I said he's ahead of the curve. Yes. Same thing with Mike. Mike was taking care of business, planned to get to Nationals, but life took place, work all of a sudden became important because of emergency, which means they were. And then he got a chance to go to Atlanta on the other opposite direction where we were, Charles, as he went over there. You will be where I was, because we were both in Birmingham. But he saw his daughter performing before he came home. So all things were really good in terms of that. Great situation. So just wanted to give all those individuals a shout out and just say thanks for watching the show and supporting us and recognizing that. So they was like, hey, let me take a picture. And then it became a thing then, and everybody came up and say something. I said, let me get a picture. I said, I'm going to take a collage, and that's where that came from. So you can throw that back up there one more time, Roy, just so everybody can see what I'm referencing as I talk through it. This is
I like that one.
I plan to put that on the shirt. That's the shirt coming.
You ran into my friend, my good friend of the past 30 some odd years, Matt Bradford, big time alpha there over in the state of Florida. But yeah, we came in together freshman year, so that's my guy.
Yeah, he was made sure that I wanted to ask where you were and shout out. And I said, oh man, yeah, that's my boy. We're getting it done. Mm-hmm. Before I go to you, Drew, because I got a story about this shirt I own, so I want to make sure that I don't get that mixed up. So I'm gonna save you for last. Charles, how you doing, and how was your trip?
Doing well, Dr. Trip was phenomenal. Got a chance to get a little bit of rest and relaxation. Enjoyed a lot of Robert Glasper Blue Note Jazz Festival, and you come back. It's August 1. It's go time. It's go time. It's August 1. Do you know where your quarterback is? August 1.
Hey, that's pretty good. Before we get into that, we're gonna take a little time. As we get into this, we're gonna enjoy this a little. We usually go to you for not only your football knowledge and HBCU sports or sports in general. All right. We also go to you for the golf game, when we need a little tidbit here. So now it's my understanding we can go to you in terms of wine. So this is what I'm asking you. The next time we have our outing, you pick the wine and you get to buy the bottle as well.
That's done. That's a done deal. That's a done deal.
Drew, you know how I slid that in there? I knew you're going to be good about the first one. Let me slide that in there real fast.
I know. Lightweight sommelier.
Slid that in there. Well, AD Drew, although I put FAMU to win the East, I just want to let you know that this is Money Green, not the FAMU Green. This is Money Green. I'm trying to wish upon a star. So, I don't want you to get too excited as you're on the show representing. Just wanted to get that out. How you doing, Drew?
Well, number one, I was a homebody this weekend. Probably the first weekend that I've actually been at home. And the weekend that I'm at home, you guys are out on the road doing what you guys do. So shout out to you. I am not jealous that I was at home this weekend after the month of July, pretty much being on the road. So
we'll get a chance maybe to talk about this a little more, but I would be remiss. Drew had to hold it down for the show with Brian and AD in terms of Brian taking care of some business. And he brought the guest on. Oh, family reunion.
Yeah.
Taking care of business in regards to having the show. And so during the show, they brought on the executive director in regards to the Celebration Bowl and the MEAC Challenge, John Grant, and had a tremendous interview that specifically talked about not only the game, but also the National HBCU Band Championship. So if you hadn't got a chance to check out Brian and AD Sports Rap, go check it out. Great information. We'll probably be sharing that through the platforms, a lot of good information. I want to talk a little more detail, but we'll save that as we get into some more HBCU news. Let me go to you, Charles, and then we'll see what's on your mind as well.
Yeah, well, let's start off huge news coming from University of Virgin Islands. As a longtime HBCU communications pro, was named University of Virgin Islands' first female AD. Dr. Karen M. Carty has been named the Director of Athletics at the University of Virgin Islands. Dr. Carty becomes the first female athletics director in UVI's 61-year history. This is a quote. I'm personally excited to have Dr. Carty join the university and lead our athletics department. She brings a wealth of experience and an authentic connection to the Virgin Islands and the university. That's a quote from Dr. David Hall, who is the UVI president. Also, he says she is just what we need to expand and improve athletics at UVI as we join a new conference in the NAIA. Dr. Carty is just the type of leader to take us to the next level of competitiveness. So huge news coming from the University of Virgin Islands today.
Yeah, great information when you talked about Dr. Karen Carty. Met her in terms of my exchanges with the MEAC. Very tremendous. I can't wait to get in a little more about this story and how this opportunity came about. Obviously, talk about the new conference in the NAIA. That's the HBCU Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, led by Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes. So fascinating to see what this will look like for both institutions moving forward. So excited about that. Might have a little tease for you on Thursday to give you some more information. We'll see how that works out. With that being said, let me go to you, Drew. What news do you have as we talking about these hires?
And now, watch and see how I spin this, Dr. Cavill. As everybody knows, I graduated from 2 HBCUs. I graduated from Tuskegee, and in honor of the wrong color green that you have on, Dr. Cavill, I did graduate from Florida A&M University. So I'm going to combine these because I'm going to talk about both of my alma maters in my story instead of separating these into 2 stories, because both of my alma maters happened to hire a new women's basketball coach within the same week, 2 days apart from each other. So let's go in chronological order. Let's start with Wednesday. Shante Webster has been named the new head basketball coach, new women's head basketball coach at Tuskegee University. Director of Athletics Reginald Ruffin announced on Wednesday. I'm not going to go deep into it, but let me give you a little bit of her bio. Webster comes to lead the Golden Tigers program after serving the previous 3 seasons as head coach at Livingstone College. While with the Blue Bears, she led the team to the CIAA semifinals in 21-22, inheriting a rebuilding program. Prior to Livingstone, Webster spent over a decade at Virginia State in the CIAA. During her tenure, the Trojans won not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 regular season division championships in the CIAA, the 2015 tournament, and had 4 NCAA tournament appearances. She won 200 games while at Virginia State. And talking about developing players, more than 40 players achieved all-conference recognition, League Players of the Year, produced the first ever VSU HBCU CIAA Player of the Year at Academic All-Americans. That was just one school, Dr. Cavill. One coach, one school. Let's get to the other school. Now, we knew the Tuskegee job has been open since April. The FAMU job unexpectedly came open, so they have hired Bridget Gordon as the basketball coach, and that was announced on Friday. This is her first head coaching job, but here's the resume, Charles. She attended the University of Tennessee from 1985 to 89, where she played under who? Everybody said at the same time, Pat Summitt. She played under Pat Summitt, 4 Final Fours, 2 championships. That was 87 and 89. She was MVP of the Final Fours in 89, SEC Female Athlete of the Year, SEC Player of the Year in 1989, 4-time All-SEC First Team, 86 Freshman of the Year, 2 tournament 2 SEC tournament MVPs, 2-time Kodak and Naismith All-American. Hey, oh, by the way, she's got an Olympic gold medal in the Seoul Games. And she was named to the 25th anniversary team, NCAA 25th anniversary team, and the team of the decade for the 1980s. She played overseas in Turkey, captured 2 FIBA Cups, played in the WNBA for the Sacramento Monarchs in 97 and 98. She's a Tennessee Hall of Famer, University of Tennessee Hall of Famer. Now, coaching, let's see. She spent time at Kansas State University in 21-22.
AD, has she won?
Okay.
We got.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just going down the resume.
We got to find out where she coaching at.
I'm just going down the resume. I'm sorry. I'm excited. Look, I'm like Charles was when Prime came.
Yeah, I see. We'll get some discussion on it.
Hey, Charles didn't go through a whole resume
because everybody knew who Prime was. Nobody knows who Coach Gordon is.
Well, they know now.
She's a winner. She's a winner. Yeah, she's definitely a winner.
With that being said, I do like this. This tells you why the CIAA is different, special, as some people say. Early bird tickets on sale August 1st for the 2024 CIAA Basketball Championship Tournament. They selling basketball tournament tickets before the CIAA Championship, the SWAC Championship, Celebration Bowl. They already got tickets out. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Charles, what else you got on the table?
Well, I can tell it's August 1st because if my mom is tuning in, she wants to know what's going on with Jackson State football. I got a text from her, like how we look. I'm like, hey, Mama, how does what look? How we look?
She said you not on. She says you're not on your job.
Yeah,
she counts on you to get her updates in regards to how the Jackson State Tigers look and who she needs to watch out for. So I'm gonna tell you now, the next time she calls and texts, you need to have a better answer.
Yeah, I know. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
Love you, Mom. Love you,
yeah.
Mom.
Always.
That's good stuff. Ain't going on there. What else you got? What other news you got out there, Chuck?
Well, I think AD, he went through it. I mean, that's tremendous coaching hires when you talk about Florida A&M and Tuskegee. So definitely kudos to both of them in regards to their new hires. I think you have some great information out there on HBCUsports.com in regards to former Alabama State lineman Titus Howard. He expressed his gratitude for his HBCU path. He was, I think, blessed with a new contract with the Houston Texans. So a lot of great stuff going on right now in HBCU news.
I want to come back on the other side after this first break, and I want to talk about this National HBCU Band Championship announced during the MEAC SWAC Challenge Media Press. And get in there. I want to see some of your thoughts and what this looks like. I've been looking behind the scenes, and obviously a lot of HBCU band folks are excited. They want to know particulars. And again, if you want the particulars, just go and watch the interview in regards to John Grant on Brian and AD's show, Sports Wrap, as he has a great deal of information in terms of questions. They actually take a really good deep dive to get that information. Based on that, I want to get your thoughts in terms of what this looks like, and I'm going to come back and have some thoughts as well. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this first break. We'll come back on the other side and get into this National HBCU Band Championship. Thanks, AD, for shouting out and giving me a little love in regards to the poll rankings. I saw that. I was like, AD is my man. He can come on anytime. Stick with it. We'll be right back after this break.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBC Sports Lab. So as we were down and covering in Atlanta, the MEAC Challenge, which had a great press conference in terms of the coaches. Both guys were tremendous in terms of providing information, not just coach speak in regards to the football programs, like everybody's now rolling over in regards to the number of new players, college players that at Jackson State when he talked about the turnover. And Buddy Pugh was his normal self about finding ways to keep you rolling as he just keeps you going and acting like he doesn't have anything under the car hood in regards to his team.
But if you ain't never got nothing out of
here, not embarrass yourself like we did last year. Whatever. But in the midst of that, John Grant kind of teased out that he'd have a big announcement, and it came at the end appropriately so, where he announced that the Celebration Bowl during that event, that Friday before, that they will be this new inaugural National HBCU Band Championship. Roy was there with us, Brian was there, and Roy obviously had set up everything so we could do some question and answer. You'll be able to check that out on some of our platforms too when Brian interviewed directly with John Grant. And obviously we were all teasing because we did our poll rankings the last couple of years. Roy obviously in the past has talked about what it would take to put an HBCU national championship. But now we have one in terms of the financials behind it. ESPN Events will present, the inaugural Band of the Year National Championship, prestigious competition, which is different. A lot of times you have HBCU showcases, which we were all familiar with, whether it's the Honda Battle of the Bands that it became pretty big over the years. In some people's eyes, it's still big. And then, which was held in Atlanta, most recently in Montgomery. You also have the Houston National Battle of the Bands here in the Houston area that moved away from Charlotte a couple of years, which are showcases. This is different because there will be a championship based on the four bands that will involve, and actually there'll be two championships, one for the Division I side and one for the Division II side. The event will be placed at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta on December 15th in advance of the 2023 Cricket Celebration Bowl, the unofficial HBCU National Championship college football game between the champions of the MEAC and the SWAC. The Band of the Year National Championship will air live on ESPN platforms and will feature the top two marching bands from both the Division I and Division II conference levels competing in the title of Band of the Year. The championship will be culmination of a season-long competition where the bands will be ranked according to the weekly halftime performance by a selection committee of marching band experts. Rankings will be posted on the college football section at ESPN.com. The top 2 bands from each division in the final rankings will earn the right to compete for the national title in Atlanta. The Band of the Year Championship will be showcased, the best of the best, featuring bands that have demonstrated excellence in musicianship, originality, precision, and showmanship. Quote, ESPN Events is constantly looking to create new and exciting events, so we are thrilled to host the inaugural Band of the Year National Championship as part of our Cricket Celebration Bowl weekend in Atlanta, said John Grant, Executive Director of the Band of the Year, Cricket Celebration Bowl, and Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Quote, we're proud of to celebrate marching band culture and incredible talent and hard work of the marching band students. This event will provide a platform for the amazing performers of the showcase skills and compete for the title of Band of the Year. Tickets for the Band of the Year will be available for purchase in early October. For more information on the event, you can contact ESPNBandoftheYear.com to get that information. I know you had some information that is outside of what was delivered here, Drew. I'm going to save you so you can provide some of that out in case those questions come from Charles in regards to his thoughts before we get into a little dialogue in terms of questions and maybe answering some thought process with that. So let me turn it over to you, Charles. What are your thoughts thus far on this event with the announcement?
I think I'm looking forward to the event. I think as longtime HBCU connoisseurs of everything that goes along with the football game, you appreciate the band performances. And I've said for some time now, we have to be sure we're almost, to me, at a tipping point. We have a large majority of our fan base that has watched bands for the majority of their life. So you have to really work harder, especially with YouTube and the way that you can see bands perform week in, week out. You have to work harder at originality. You have to work harder at musicianship because it can become rote. It can become mundane if you don't watch it. And that's why I almost have a sort of different metric in terms of how I start judging bands and looking at bands, because my number one thing is, are you that 12th man to that football team? Because trust me, it makes a difference. They feel that energy down there on the field. And one of the things I always applaud Southern is they're so engaged in the game. You cannot become detached from the game. And they do a tremendous job of, when you score, they try to blunt your momentum in terms of whatever they may play. Whether, it ain't over till it's over, whatever the case might be. But they do something to blunt your momentum. And when they score, they enhance the momentum of the team, if you will, by getting the fans engaged. I think I look at the same thing with regards to, the interaction between the band and your DJ. Are you engaging the fan base? Because it all makes a difference in terms of becoming that 12th man for the football team. So I pay attention to those little things. And then, in terms of field shows, your PA announcer has a huge responsibility. To me, they have to not only introduce you and bring out what you're playing, but they also have to have that little dose of pep, that zings the opposing band, and it engages the fan base, because you get this chuckle that goes throughout the stands, and it enhances
just like I did.
Yeah, so those are small things, but they make such a difference, and it keeps me from being bored at what I see as the field show. And then the other thing, and I'll come back to this, but is how unique are you? Everybody is just not going to be as loud as Southern, Jackson State, Alabama State. One of the things I always enjoy about the Marching 100, they have such a unique, full, rich sound that's different from everybody else. So how unique are you? Are you playing something that enhances what you do as a band, or are you trying to blow as loud as the other band across the field? And it becomes It becomes boring. So those are things that I kind of take a look at.
I really like the way you brought that up. And part of the poll rankings we released 2 years ago, and so we have 2 national champions, mythical champions, if we're going to use the same framework we do for football, men's and women's basketball, we do a rankings, and even baseball now in terms of the Black College Nines with the small and large divisions, which we had did previously with Black College Baseball had done, as I voted on that poll, transitioning away, is the fact when we brought in to the lexicon the poll rankings for HBCU, or what we like to call the marching sport, was the competition. And that was huge to make sure that there was actually a win or a loss when 2 bands came together. And one of the things I talked to Charles about, that he was specific, that needed, how much did the band actually choreograph, if you would, or seamlessly work with the football team, or even if we're talking about basketball season, the pep band, how well was it coordinated in regards to supporting the action in the sport on the field? I know that's one of the things I have seen also with Texas Southern, as they've taken that next step. Interested in the connection and the band direction coming from Southern, and the athletic department's understanding of how to make sure that you integrate the band, not only support the team, but between the music that now people are more engaged with, whether it's the DJ or music from the speaker comms, in regards to integrating that back and forth and giving the band a chance to play, supporting coming in and out of breaks, timeouts, and all of that kind of stuff. That coordination is important just as well. So I'm glad that you brought up those points. With that being said, Drew, we'll take a break after you give 3 or 4 minutes of your conversation. We'll come back and even have some more dialogue. We'll take this for 2 segments because I think it's that fascinating to really get in here. But what were your first thoughts when you first heard this?
Probably, I may be a fan of marching bands in general, maybe as long or even longer than I've been a fan of sports. Watching the bands in various parades, because I was introduced to bands via the parade before I ever saw them perform at an athletic event as a 5-6-year-old. If I saw them at an athletic event, I don't remember it at that age, but I do remember being out in the crowds of the parades. Somebody put me on their shoulders, and so I could see the different bands, high school and college band, march up and down the street in the various parades that I would go to as a youngster. So, and when you think about bands, there are 3 parts to a band, and not all bands are good at all 3. Some excel at all 3. Some excel at 1 and are good in the other 2, because you have the marching band. It's called a marching band for a reason, because they perform in parades. How good is their parade show? Something that we won't be judging in the Band of the Year contest, but that's all part of the band culture. How good, obviously, your on-field performance, but like Charles said, what about in the stands? Are you a stand band in addition to being a marching band and a field band? And as much as we all love our bands for our respective institutions, there are very few bands who actually, if you did a ranking just in the 3 separate categories that I said, Dr. Kavir, there are very few who will rank in the top 3 of all 3 categories. You may have 1 on each level that can rank in the top 3 of all 3 categories. Some will have good halftime performances, and they put all their energy in the halftime performance, and they kind of break with the stand portion of it, And some people put all their energy into the stand portion and the field show. But when you see them in the streets, they're adequate. They're okay, but they don't bring the same type of flavor because of the moves that they have to do on the field does not translate to walking up and down the street. So just different things that people need to keep in mind when you're just talking about band culture. But to have this one event that these bands can focus on, I think is great. I do have one dilemma though.
That's interesting.
I do have one dilemma that I want y'all. Hold
on, that's a great tease.
But I will save it after the break.
I want to save that dilemma on the other side. Great tease, because I want to get both of y'all's concern in regards to what those dilemmas are, and we'll get a little more talk about some of the questions that came up too. Stick with us. We'll take our second break. We'll come back on the other side, and we're going to get a little more into this Band of the Year championship.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBC Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We have AD Drew as Mike Washington is out on assignment. With that being said, we had a moment where Drew was going to get into some concerns or some thought process there. Now, I certainly wanted to do that as a tease and bring it back so we can have an in-depth dialogue about this. I do want to say this before we get into that. I think this is another opportunity where we bring out the culture. So we need to understand how to engage the culture, protect the culture, but at the same time, the benefit of what this brings to the table. Because I was looking into some of the forums, and you already have what I refer to as historically white college university band folks talking about, can they get invited? You know, where's their invite? Where's their part of that? And I think some of the band members said, hey, man, for 400 years, you had it all.
Hey, as soon as they can get to the Celebration Bowl, they can get to the Band of the Year contest. How about that?
There you go. There you go. But with that framework, it is important for us to take advantage of this opportunity and showcase it and support this over the year in such a way that we brand it as the way we need to see it branded in terms of that, right? That we have ownership in this and support this in regards to the metrics that are used in the current space of watching television. And that's not just for the HBCU Band Championship, but also in regards to the MEAC/SWAC Challenge and Celebration Bowl. So as much as we are concerned with the attendance, which is something that we need to continue to push, understand the uniqueness of what that is, whether it's home games or classics, we also need to know and understand the value of what it means in terms of the metrics We had the interview with the commissioner that talked about some of the streaming platforms having more views than the linear games. So whether that is John Grant talking about the data associated with the MEAC SWAC Challenge, the Celebration Bowl, even more so, or the commissioner, Dr. Charles, talking about those metrics with the SWAC, and even Dr. Steels over there in the MEAC, NRCAA, SIAC, and GCAC in terms of the metrics that they have going on. It's important to make sure we take advantage of that and understand that. With that being said, Drew, this is the fun part. We'll get to even take a deeper dive. What were you going to get into in terms of some of the things that we need to watch out, or some of the concerns or questions you may have in regards to walking this down until we get to the Band of the Year National Championship Friday before the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta?
Let's think about this. And let's stick with SWAC. Okay. Probably the top 4 teams, top 2 in the East, top 2 in the West. In the East, you've got Jackson State, Florida A&M. On the field, probably projected to finish either 1 or 2 in football. And the two Western teams, Southern and Alcorn. Well, the Human Jukebox, Marching 100, Sounds of Dynamite, those 4 bands are probably the top bands also in the conference. Now, let's just say, for instance, Jackson State makes it to the Celebration Bowl this year. Yeah, I'm going to use y'all. And their band is top 2. Does the band go to both, perform Friday night, and then have to come up with a separate show Saturday night? Or does the band leave the potential for their money at home and just concentrate on helping their team win the Celebration Bowl on Saturday afternoon? Do you come up with 2 shows if you decide to participate in both? Or do you do the full show Friday night and come back with the short show on Saturday because you only get 7 minutes, as you would have found out if you would listen to our interview on Sunday on the BCSN Sports Wrap? So that's a concern that I have. And I'm gonna get my second concern. This is conference neutral. That means all bands. So you could have 2 MEAC bands, 2 independent bands, or 2 SWAC bands. Now y'all know. Let there be 2 SWAC bands in there and let everybody talk about their SWAC bias. Y'all know it's coming.
Let it be in the same division.
Oh my God.
See, this is where I miss
Good
North
point, because on
Carolina
Friday night they get 15 minutes, and on Saturday on the show they get 7 minutes, to your point.
Correct.
If you listen to the show, you get that. And there's also a payout specifically for the teams.
Which is why I asked when they take
as well.
Which is why I asked when they leave that buddy at home on Friday night to concentrate on Saturday.
Good stuff.
Somebody president gonna have to make a decision potentially.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out and how that irons out. I'm really fascinated to see how people are galvanized by the weekly updates in regards to what this looks like on ESPN.com. That's a different metric. So now you have folks looking at sports on ESPN, but they're also going to get engaged with the bands. Charles, I know you had a point that, or did you want to jump on this first before you go to the other?
I did want to jump in there real quick because, and this is a huge concern of mine. And I think, like I mentioned, I think with regards to bands, we're at this sort of tipping point where a lot of us who have grown up on them or watched them for a lot of years, they have to have this level of uniqueness now, this level of originality, because you can watch them whenever. And and just in watching them, I noticed there's a discernible difference in the buzz or the juice that goes through the crowd 20, 30 years ago as opposed to now. And some of that is just because we've watched it. We've watched it now. We've watched, and it's sort of, performances can be sort of monotone because you're so used to knowing what's going to come. So, it becomes a really interesting thing to kind of sit back and watch, especially the halftime performance.
Well, I think this is, and I want to come back because I know you had that other introduction that you needed, and I think that's important that needs out there. But I'd be remiss if I didn't get this out now. I think this is also a chance for the bands and the universities of HBCUs to consider the model they have for HBCUs. And so can you utilize what has worked for sports in regards to providing more information, almost like a marching sport information director that provides information on the freshman class that is coming into your institution?
That would be very good.
Recruiting day for bands.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I know bands go to schools and do recruiting pitches. How about making sure that information gets out through the marching sport information director's office under the bands framework, where you also talk about some of the key band members that are returning from last year. Who's your drum major? Who's the new drum major? Who's returning? What first chair trumpet player also is doing other things in a musical place, where you really do a good job of introducing those platforms, right? In regards to what it looks like. Who is the captain of the drill team? What does that look like in terms of that?
Sort of a marching sport media guide.
Yeah, a marching sport media guide in terms of communicating in such a way where now you can tag along with ESPN.com and on your websites in regards to providing a platform. And what does this do to your institution? Now it drives the enrollment even more, much like you see for athletics. So you take a plate off that. Or you can really take the next step, what you saw here at Texas Southern University, the vice president of athletics, Dr. Kevin Granger, where you expand his title, even though he has it, where you talk about athletics and the extracurricular in terms of the bands, which he has committed to him. What if you have that and you commiserate with the job functions in terms of the org chart in such a way that the band, whether it's the cheerleaders or dance teams, mascots like he has at Texas Southern, that reports under him, where now there's a better way of managing the APR, if you would, of the band in terms of making sure that they're timely. The study hall, how do you manage the scholarship implementation of what that looks like? Is a lot of bands get scholarship, but how you make it more influential in terms of that component. But now you have the funding that goes in that to support the band going to those games that we talked about in such a way, and somebody that can better manage and organize that. So if you take some of those frameworks that have worked in athletics and utilize that for the band, look how now you can monetize that in regards to your apparel deal. Instead of now getting the apparel deal for 300 players of the various teams, now you're adding 200, 250, maybe 300 more in terms of the value of your apparel deal, in terms of caps, polo shirts. So they look good, even to the point where they may even design, if you would, marching band uniforms from that perspective. So those are the things I think that you think about in terms of strategizing and really being innovative of how, now that you have this platform, how do you make this platform work for you even more than ever before? Let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side and get in a little more dialogue of how do we become even more innovative, more strategic, more of the things they were talking about, because I know there was a platform that Charles wanted to get out there that I think is important in regards to the coordination of this from beginning to end, particularly coming into the game, and even making sure the bands, to some degree, do not play over each other, that they understand the competition in itself of how it really works. Stick with us after we take this last break. We'll come back on the other side and take in the marching sport, what is taking place in terms of this opportunity, the bands of the year national championship on ESPN. We'll be right back on the other side.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall. Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being...
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, talking with Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. We're talking about ESPN events, which announced this past weekend during the MEAC-SWAC Challenge, the inaugural Band of the Year National Championship, a prestigious competition featuring the nation's top marching band from historically Black colleges and universities. Charles, I know you had something that you thought was important to get on the table that may concern you in regards to HBCU bands understanding the gravity of this opportunity, with more eyes being on them than ever, particularly from a media perspective. What you want to say?
And I wanted band directors to understand how important it is to not ruin the pageantry of the band itself. And I get it. I know it. And we talk about the marching sport and how competitive it is. But the introduction of the band to the paying public is part of the pageantry. There is nothing like when the sonic boom comes in to get ready. There are people who actually work hard to get to the stadium just so they can be there to hear the boom play, get ready. Same thing with Alcorn when they come in and do the Super Soul, or Texas Southern coming in blowing neck. That is part of the pageantry. Southern marching in, drum major, dancing dolls with the cymbals spinning behind, the guys with the jump step and the cymbals spinning. That is part of the pageantry. So when you start taking that pageantry and sort of diminishing it, and when I say diminishing, it means blowing on them, it takes away from the fan experience. So I just, as I'm not a band aficionado, I'm an HBCU fan. I'm a fan of the game day experience. That's an important part of the experience that shouldn't be taken lightly. That pageantry is very important to the general paying public who comes to not only enjoy the game, but enjoy the band. And that introduction of the band coming into the stadium is something that immediately creates buzz and juice within the stadium.
Well said. Well said. Drew, I want to come to you and just, if you would, what is one of the things that stood out to you in regards to the question and answer session dialogue that you had this past Sunday with Mr. John Grant? Started to elevate him and call him doctor, take him back to school.
Hey, You know what's funny about that? I did the same thing during the middle of the interview and caught myself in the middle of it. I almost called him doctor, and he was like Mr. Grant. But no, it was. We've all talked to John Grant offline, and those people out there who do not know John Grant on the level that we know John Grant and dialogue with John Grant, as interesting and as informational as that interview was with myself, Jamie Walker, and Charles Edmond, the conversations we actually have offline that you know, obviously you can't repeat all that stuff, are 10 times better than the conversations that we have on our various platforms. But John Grant is the ultimate salesman when it comes to the things that he's doing, be it the Cricket Miak Swag Challenge, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, or the still searching for a title sponsor Band of the Year contest. And for him, the thing that stood out for me, he said he had been working on this since 2017, Doc. You know, people don't understand how long, how hard people work to put these ideas together and bring them to fruition, bring them to the public. Because you know, Doc, you know, Charles, there are so many good ideas that are sitting in file cabinets, in trash cans, or still in people's heads that have not been able to be quantified and actually put into action. And for Mr. Grant to actually bring this in, knowing that this could take that weekend to the next step, you know, there will be a group of people who come on Friday night who will not be there Saturday afternoon, be it because they're just not football fans, but they're band fans, or be it because their team is not playing on Saturday afternoon. But it's a lot easier for John Q. Public or Jane Q. Public to go and watch a band that is not their own than it is for them to go root for a football team that is not their own, because you just have to be a football fan to just go to a game and watch anybody play football. So I think this is just kind of the best of both worlds. You got that on Friday night, and then you got that on Saturday, and then all the things. So we're pushing closer and closer to the ultimate HBCU family reunion weekend, in my opinion.
Good stuff. I thought the other thing that came out of the show that you did in the questionnaire was, to your point in terms of the ticking of this, you'll be able to get it a la carte individually. If you want to just go to the game or just go to the band contest, or you'll be able to have some packages that will be put together that allow you to join both if you're one of those individuals that want to be entertained in that manner all weekend long.
And with both tickets, Dr. Kabir, he said you can actually, if you want to, pick the same seat for Friday night and Saturday afternoon if you so choose. I want to sit in section Q, row M, seat 42 or whatever. You will actually have that option. I think that is great.
Yeah, good point when you talk about that in terms of that matchup. Another thing that came up, now this is most of the social media chatter. You know, we talked a little bit about historically white colleges, some of those fans talking how they want to get in this, and not to that point yet. But there was also a question in terms of HBCU fans for what we refer to as the independent programs, right? In this case, it would be independent band programs that are not associated with the MEAC, SWAC, SIAC, and CIAA. Should they be able to participate? And this was a huge dialogue that went back and forth in terms of what that looks like. Because it's like, and the point that one guy was making out there, I thought was an intriguing point. You know, you may agree or disagree, and I certainly can understand that. But his ultimate point is like, you know, is it really fair, or does it make sense that you can associate yourself with the HBCU culture, what I call it sporting HBCU diaspora conference affiliation when it works for you, right? In terms of wanting to have your band be able to participate in it, but then at the same time, be able to take your balls, in this case, your sporting athletic balls, to another conference where you do not get to participate in regards to MEAC Challenge for that knowledge or the celebration bowl. You know, is that fair? And we know life is not fair, but does it make sense? And what is some of your thoughts? I'll start with you, Charles, your thoughts on that, and then I'll come to you, ADD.
I know that's a very tough question. I have a Grammy Award-winning band in the Aristocrat Bands with Tennessee State, and I have a tremendous band with North Carolina A&T. One of the most unique field shows that I've watched in the past 30 years, tremendously thematic. And for them to not be in the mix would be, as a fan, not so much an aficionado, but just a fan of HBCU bands, that would be a bit of a letdown for them to not be in the mix. But that's a fair question because it's something that their administrations really should have kind of thought through, because that is part of the whole experience, part of the whole culture. So I that's a very good question, very tough question to answer.
Eddie Drew?
You know, that pre-show, when we were going through our pre-show notes, that was the question Jamie Walker wanted to ask first when he had his chance to come on. But John Grant beat him to that question. He actually answered the question before Jamie had an opportunity to even answer the question during John Grant's opening portions. So, yeah.
And the answer was, for those that didn't catch it or hadn't
all HBCU bands on the Division II and the Division I level. So yes, Tennessee State is included. Hampton is included. North Carolina A&T is included. Lincoln of Missouri would be included. I don't think we have any other HBCUs outside of Lincoln, Missouri now that are Division II. I may be wrong, but I think the rest of them are in the other two conferences. So yes, those bands will be included, and maybe that is a way to bring them back into that culture and show them what they missing. Like, yeah,
good point too.
You got it good out there at the burbs, but when you come back to mom and them house, this is what we do every day. Not just on holidays. You know, you moved out there to the suburbs. Come on back to mom and them house.
And let me put this out there. I mean, the Aristocrat Bands, their PA announcer is one of the best. In terms of what I talk about, especially with that announcing part and synchronizing with the band, one of the best out there doing it right now. I mean, I really enjoy how he preps and gets the juice going in the stadium for that band. So I would love to see Tennessee State in it.
Go ahead.
I was saying one other thing. You talk about the band announcers. One thing John Grant brought out is all bands are not equal. Some bands have the flag corps. Some bands have the dancing girls. You know, every band has a little bit of a different ancillary portion of their band. If you don't have it, you will not get penalized for not having it. But then I asked the question, does that mean if my flag girl drops the flag that I won't get penalized? No. If you have it, it has to be good. If you're going to put it out there, it has to be good. But if you don't have it, no harm, no foul.
Oh, yeah. Does Talladega get the invite too? I forgot about that.
He didn't say anything about NAIA. That was not a question that we asked. So I don't think NAIA is included in this one, although it would be interesting for Talladega or Langston to have an opportunity to partake in something along those lines. I think
because if you're gonna open it up to the independent, you got to find a way to get the NIA in there And Langston and Talladega are very appropriate bands that should get a shot at the Division II level for sure.
Talladega.
But now here's the thing with Talladega though. You have to sit there for performances. Without them having a football team, where are they going to get those 4 performances from?
Yeah, tenfold.
And the other question I was going to ask, I was going to bring that up in terms of what are the performances? Are they do they get to count when they get into one of these showcases? Do you get to utilize that? And is it inclusive of contests against other HBCUs? You know, in our poll ranking, we do HBCU matchups. So if you're Tennessee State, they don't have 4 HBCU non-conference games.
If I'm Talladega's band director, I'm somewhere calling, like, listen, if such and such band doesn't come that weekend, we'll be happy to perform. So.
Exactly. And what if the NIE is playing a Division II? Does it count for one and not the other? In regards to, so it's going to be interesting to get a chance to interview because there's a gentleman that is a FAMU graduate that has high school band experience with the DeKalb, I think it is, band, Southwest Decatur band in Atlanta that will be coordinating a lot of this with the other folks on the committee that's coming together. And they have some on there, bringing some more on there. It's going to be fascinating. But you got like Hampton. Do they play enough non-conference games?
Hell,
HBCU games or A&T. They have one against Hampton. They have North Carolina Central. What are their other non-conference games? Do they have enough in terms of 4 contests to make sure they can get it in for these independents? So there's a difference between including them, but then the fine lines in terms of those 4 competitions. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how those 4 competitions are measured.
The wheels are spinning. The wheels are spinning right now.
I can answer that for you, Dr. Cavill.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to answer because I'm going to make you go back and rewatch Sunday's BCSN Sports Wrap because he kind of mentioned on how you're going to know
he did.
when those tapes are going to be judged and everything like that. He mentioned that, but y'all got to go back and watch it.
And you're going to be utilizing ESPN to be able to keep up with all this information. So fascinating, great commentary, great dialogue. Glad we got a chance to get in this a little more than most. Thank you for bringing up those great components on both sides, the positives more than anything, but also some critical components that must be analyzed and questioned and thought-provoking components of this. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports.
The Dream.
Dreaming. Yeah, the Dream. Coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Mills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. As we'll be back on Thursday to get you a little more into the football motion, and we should have a great one lined up for you then. We look forward to continue discussion and giving you the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. That's DrKenyattacavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBC Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Inside the HBC Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
AD?
Lecture.
Dismiss.